blowed out goodness here. Tell me this ain't mine. Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I get this blowout to prep for my silk press on my microlinks. I'm going to start off with freshly washed hair. I've deep conditioned it overnight because I am blonde, so you know, damage, all that good stuff. I'm going to spray in my leave-in, also apply some serums and a scalp oil to promote growth, just so we can stay as healthy as possible during this process, because as you know, blonde hair is most susceptible to damage and breakage and dryness, so we want to make sure that we're treating for all of those things. So I'm going to start off with sectioning my hair out. I start with the bottom section to detangle, and I'm going to use the flexi detangling brush, not only to just detangle my hair, but to also help distribute that product throughout every single strand. This flexi detangling brush is great because it does cause less tension on the hair. Your hair is weakest when wet, and being that my hair is chemically treated, I am blonde, not naturally, but I colored my hair blonde, so my natural hair is blonde outside of the extension, so I want to use as least amount of damage brushing styling as possible. So this flexi detangling brush helps with that, as well as making sure the product gets all the way throughout the hair. And as I detangle each section, I'm going to put it into a small little bun to help retain the moisture. We don't want these sections to dry out before we get to hit them with a blow dryer, because however your hair dries, that's the state it's going to stay in. So you don't want the hair to dry in a kinky, curly state. And if you notice, working from the bottoms up to minimize any breakage, I'm going to, when I make these little buns, try my best to get my natural hair in, especially my edges, as stretched out as possible, because they are naturally going to dry while we're working on the rest of the hair, and your edges typically dry faster than any other part of your hair. So we want those to dry as straight as possible. That way, when it comes to straightening out our hair and heat styling our hair, they're more cooperative with what we're trying to do. So just continuing to brush out all sections of our hair, remembering starting from the bottom and working our way up and putting it in those little buns. This flexi brush is available on the website to purchase. Again, it is amazing for not just extensions but natural hair textures, because it is super flexible, so none of the bristles are pulling too strongly on your hair to cause breakage. Again, our hair is weakest when it's wet, so it's more prone to snapping and breaking in its wet state, and this brush causes less tension when it comes to detangling, so you're not pulling as aggressively on all of those pieces. So here's my hair in all of its little sections and its little buns, trying to retain the moisture, and here is our blow dryer. So I like the smaller concentrated nozzle because it gives us more direct airflow and heat on the hair. And then I'm also going to use the universal pick attachment, which does fit on most blow dryers. And I'm going to use the pick attachment to really just straighten my natural hair at the roots to get it as stretched out as possible. I'm not pulling it through all the way through the shaft of the hair and the ends of the extensions, because I'm going to focus on that later. I'm really just trying to get my natural hair straight as possible, because that's typically going to dry faster than the extensions, being that my extensions are blonde, which means they are more porous, which means they're going to hold on to the moisture longer, and my natural hair is going to shrivel up and kink up easier. Also, I want, when I come with my brush and nozzle attachment, I want to be able to flow through these extensions a little more easier and not have to worry about my roots. And I would just want to make sure with this comb attachment, I'm getting my hair as straight as possible. And I'm trying to use the smaller side of the comb because it does get a tighter grip on the hair, so it does blow out everything a little tighter. Make sure you flip your hair over to get that kitchen, and after I'm done, I'm just going to put everything back in that little bun like I had before. That's not crazy important, but I do like it for sectioning purposes, not to be overwhelmed with any one section. And we just want to work that hair in every direction to make sure that we stretch out all of the hair within and then wrap it up just to control our sections after we're done. And I'm just going to do this on every single section, make sure that I blow out my natural hair. I kind of skipped those other two sections because it's a bit redundant, but showing you the top here, I'm just going to go from every single angle with that comb attachment, being sure not to clip any of my beads in the microlinks, but getting as close to the root as possible without pulling or snagging, and stretching out my natural hair as best as possible. Again, I'm just going to re-secure it to have control over what I'm doing. I feel like all of this out at one time would just become overwhelming, trying to go back and brush through it again. And then this is our concentrated nozzle. I'm going to go through with a tension brush and just make sure that I chase the brush with my blow dryer to make sure that I get a nice amount of stretch with the heat. And that's what's going to give us the good base for our blowout, is tension with heat. Now that we're mostly dry, we can kind of go through with the brush a little bit more aggressively because our hair is not as weak, being that it's drier. And especially with my blonde hair, we're like super compromised. So we want to make sure that our hair is not soaking wet when we're brushing through it. And I'm just going to slowly go section by section, making sure that I'm using the brush and the heat in unison to help stretch out the hair as much as possible and promote the stretch of it with the heat all together. And we're going to have a nice, beautiful canvas to press out. So this process is pretty redundant, which is why I sped through it. But I just wanted to show, like, working with small sections is really key, and then just making sure we're using that heat along with that tension. That is really the key to getting a great blowout. Whether it be your natural hair or extensions, you want to make sure that you're blowing out your hair as straight as possible when you're trying to straighten it, because it's going to allow you to use less heat from the flat iron. You want to use as little heat as possible, and I would much rather recommend using heat from a blow dryer than actual heat from your flat iron, and then just doing one pass with the flat iron when it comes time to do that. Again, every section you want to blow dry it in every single direction. That way, one, you can get as much movement from your hair, and you also want to be able to get every strand as straight as possible. Especially at the top, I'm going to make sure that I do multiple directions because that's the area of your hair that's going to move the most. I usually brush it to one side and get it all straightened out, and then I'll split it down the middle and do it to the other side, and then just kind of do like a universal around the world type of blowout. But again, you want to blow out in every single direction because you want your hair to move as much as possible. With extensions, we're used to our extensions really just being like in one direction. With microlinks, the whole point is to have it behave as our own hair. So make sure you blow this out in every single direction you can to promote the most movement. So after I blow everything out, I just want to make sure everything is smooth and laying the way I like it to. I typically do a middle part or a part on the left side of my head going to the right. So that's typically the way I focus on the direction of my hair. So as you can see here, this is the finished product of a blowout. Looks great. And that is it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you next time. Cassandra! Look at you with spaghetti all over your face. Can you say bye-bye?
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.